Well, hello everyone, my name is Zwiggojr and welcome back to another video. Last week I did a grass type Pokemon Emerald hardcore Nuzlocke and you guys really seemed to enjoy that. So I wanted to do another hardcore Nuzlocke but in the different Gen 3 games, Pokemon Fire Red and Leafgreen. And so the only thing I had to do after picking the game was pick the typing, and I went with Psychic. There are 7 lines of Pokemon available in the Psychic typing in this game. Those are Kadabra, Slowbro, Exeggutor, Hypno, Starmie, and then 2 trade Pokemon as well, which are Jinx and Mr. Mime. So you have a very nice variety between sweepers and bulky Pokemon. But this is still a hardcore Nuzlocke, so we have a lot of rules to deal with. Rule number 1, I can of course only use Psychic type Pokemon in battle. There will be a level cap after every single gym apparently. Rival fights and stuff don't count as level caps. Thank you guys very much for bringing that up in the last video. Once a Pokemon faints, we can't use it anymore. We are not going to be able to use any items in battle, and we have to play on set mode. Before we get into the video, let's try to hit 5,235 likes. And let's just jump right into it. I named myself Espa from that one Yu-Gi-Oh character that has like psychic powers, but he turns out to be a fraud. And my rival's name is going to be Muscle, because mind over matter. Since we can't start off with a psychic type and the first psychic type that's actually available is Abra, I decided to change my starter into a Drowsy, so that we at least have something that can attack. I give him the name Jeff because that's what I always name my Drowsies if you've been following my Pokemon Radical Red series. And I easily win against my rival since we do have access to Hypnosis and Pound, so we just pound the little turtle into the ground. We then went to Viridian Forest to beat up some bug catchers, and at level 11 I went back to the rival battle that we had to do. Since we now have access to Confusion, this is very easy. We just 2-shot Pidgey and 3-shot his little turtle as well. Now before we take on Brock, I decided to grind up on Caterpies in Viridian Forest because they give HP EVs, which is going to be very nice for our Drowsy. Since his highest level Pokemon is Onix and level 14, I entered the gym at level 14 and then went up against his Geodude. I decide to go for Hypnosis, but I miss first turn, so the next 2 turns I just go for Confusion and take this thing out rather quickly. Next up is Onix, and I start off by missing 2 more Hypnosises. Gotta love 55% accurate moves. But luckily its special defense is rather low and Drowsy is still able to put it to sleep and then 3-shot because it didn't manage to wake up. And that was our first gym battle out of the way already. While making my way through Mount Moon, I picked up the best fossil and I went to the 2 karate masters, and one of them teaches you Mega Punch, the other Mega Kick. And I decided to go with Mega Kick over Headbutt on my Drowsy, even though Mega Kick is a pretty inaccurate move. It's still 120 base power though. Then I decided to take on our rival, and he starts off with a Pidgeotto. But I immediately get sand attacked, but my Hypnosis still comes through. I'm able to hit 1 Confusion, and then I just start missing every single move possible. And this ultimately led to my downfall. So I had to retry, just because of a Pidgeotto's sand attack. Go through all of the shenanigans that we just did once again and make it back to our rival. There is not much different that I can do here, so I just decided to come back at a higher level, this time level 19. This time we got sand attacked again, so I miss another Hypnosis, but the second one manages to land. Then I just hit 2 Mega Kicks and the Pidgeotto is down. Rattata was able to hit me with a Tail Whip and a Quick Attack, but 2 Confusions took that thing down as well. Then Squirtle came out. So I put that thing to sleep as well, then hit a Confusion and a Mega Kick, and then I got hit with a Tackle, but I had more than enough HP remaining to take this thing down with another Confusion. This fight was actually very lucky because I managed to not miss a single Mega Kick, even with a Sand Attack lowering. But the fight isn't over yet. There is still an Abra, which doesn't have any attacking moves, so we just destroyed that thing. Take on some trainers so that our Drowsy hits level 21, and then take on Misty since her highest level Pokemon is also 21. Misty's first Pokemon is going to be a Staryu, so my Drowsy just goes for a Mega Kick and then takes it out with Confusion, but we did take some damage from Water Pulse. Then the Starmie comes out. So I once again put it to sleep with a Hypnosis. Then I miss a Mega Kick, but the Starmie stays asleep. Then the next one connects but doesn't even do half. Luckily though, the Starmie stays asleep for one more turn and the next Mega Kick is a critical hit. The luck in this run has already been so amazing, because the Starmie would have woken up after this, and then if I didn't get a crit, we probably would have died and had to restart again. Then I went to the next route where we capture ourselves an Abra. But Abra loves to run away with teleport, so we had to hypnosis it so that it would stay in battle and then hit it a couple times before we could capture it. After naming it JJ, I decided to put it into the daycare because Abra can't fight himself, and switch training in a hardcore Nuzlocke is just asking to die. At level 15 I got my Abra out, took on a bug catcher, he reached level 16 and I got myself a Kadabra with confusion, so he can now fight on his own. And his special attack stat is kinda broken for a second stage evolution. So with my newly acquired Kadabra, I just went to the SSN to take on our rival. He starts off with Pidgeotto, so I'm naturally going to lead with Drowsy here again. I go for the Hypnosis, but I get hit with a stand attack like last battle. My Hypnosis does still connect, and I then hit a Confusion and a Mega Kick to take this thing down. Next to that is War Turtle, so I put it to sleep before switching into Kadabra, and I then hit 2 Psybeams to take it out, but my Drowsy levels up to level 25, which means that we can't use it in the Pokemon battle with Lieutenant Surge. That's actually very bad because now we only have Kadabra to take on Surge. Anyway, the next Pokemon Raticate goes down to 2 Psybeams, and then finally Kadabra also goes down to Psybeams. I'm not very confident that we can take on Lieutenant Surge, but I still go into the fight with Kadabra alone. And I managed to one-shot the first 2 Pokemon, Voltorb and Pikachu, with Psybeam, which is what I expected, but then I learned Recover, so I replaced Confusion. I thought that Raichu was going to be able to take me out, but he just went for a double team after getting hit with a Psybeam, and I don't miss the second one, and that is just easily enough to take this thing down already, and that gives us our 3rd gym badge without literally any problem. But then an idea popped into my head. We can actually get a different Abra on a different route, because these 2 routes are separate, so we now have 2 Abras. Don't worry though, we're not using 2 of the same Pokemon, I'm just using this Abra to trade it for this Mr. Mime right here, which is going to be an amazing asset to the team because it has a lot of utility moves and has a very wide move pool in general actually. So for those people that are watching the video and don't like clowns, I'm very much sorry because I'm going to be using this thing quite a lot. Anyway, we made our way through Rock Tunnel rather quickly, but we did manage to run out of PP on some Pokemon, and luckily we didn't have any deaths. After then doing some more EV training, my Drowsy evolved into a Hypno, and then we decided to take on Erika, which has a level cap of level 29, but this fight is just going to be a joke because 2 of her Pokemon are Pirate Poison type. So Kadabra can one-shot Victreebel and Tangela with Psybeams, and then finally is Vileplume, which I Psybeam as well, but she manages to hang on, but I managed to confuse her with my Psybeam, and she's so dumb that she hits herself and faints. So that gives us our 3rd gym badge, which was probably even easier than the Lieutenant Surge gym badge. The next member on the list is Giovanni, and normally the level cap now increases to level 43, but I didn't want it to be that easy, so I just kept my Pokemon at around level 30, that I wouldn't one-shot every single one of his Pokemon. And the battle actually starts off amazing because Mr. Mime gets a critical hit Psybeam on the Onix, taking him down immediately. Kangaskhan is actually very bulky and survives 3 Psybeams and hits me with 3 bites, but the 4th one is going to take it down. Luckily, Bite is a special move in this game, otherwise Mr. Mime would have easily died. The last Pokemon is going to be a level 24 Rhyhorn, which I Psybeam. It manages to hang on, but I confused once again, and it hit itself in its confusion, taking itself down just like the Vileplume. And that's how you take down an entire Mafia hideout. So we then get the Silph Scope and head on over to Pokemon Tower, and I totally forgot that there was a rival battle here. I probably should have done it before I took on Erika, because now it's just going to be another sweep. He still starts off with his Devil Pidgeotto with Sand Attack, so I lead off with Jeff and take it down with 3 confusions while I get hit with some quick attacks, but it barely did any damage. War Turtle is next. So I put it to sleep with Jeff and then Mega Kick it twice, and since Jeff has very large feet, this turtle's shell gets absolutely cracked. The next Pokemon on the team is a little doggo, so I switch in Kadabra because of the Intimidate, and then I proceed to one-shot with Psybeam. Execute is a 2-shot with Psybeam, and last up is Kadabra, who shares the same fate as Execute, but this did give me an idea. I actually don't have anything to take down Psychic-type Pokemon at this point in time, as you can see. But since we can now save Mr. Fuji and get the Pokeflute, this opens up an entire new area of Psychic-type Pokemon for us. So I decide to pick up the Super Rod and fish up a Poliwhirl. Now you may think, what, a Poliwhirl? This is not a psychic type. Well, actually, we're just going to do the same thing as with the Abra. We're going to trade this thing away for a Jinx. Arguably the ugliest Pokemon of all time, but it will give us some nice coverage for Lance later on. I then also capture a Staryu and name it Sheriff, but I immediately evolve it into Starmie since Staryu itself isn't psychic type, so we can't really use it in battle. Starmie itself only learns one move via level up, so we're going to be using some TMs and HMs on it. There's one more Pokemon I decide to capture before we move on with our journey, and that is Slowpoke. Name it Fastpoke because you just need to see this amazing emote I got. And with Fastpoke, we went to our arch nemesis, the Fighting Dojo, and show them who's really superior. And it indeed is the mind. After picking up the Hitmonlee to shove it in the box and never use it, we went to Silphco where this nice little lady here gave my Slowpoke the Thunder Wave TM. I then also learned my Slowpoke's Shadow Ball from the game corner and decided to wait with evolving Slowpoke until level 40 so that he would learn Psychic. Since he is now a nice little Slowbro, I went back to the game corner and also got the TM for Thunderbolt, which I learned to Mr. Mime, which is mainly going to focus on taking out our rival's Blastoise. Speaking of the devil, let's take him on again. He leads off with Pidgeot, so I lead off with Jinx and just one shot with Ice Punch. Next one out is Growlithe, so I switch in Starmie and go for the Water Pulse while getting hit with a Flame Wheel first, but Water Pulse still one shots. The next Pokemon is Blastoise, so I swap in Mr. Mime, get hit with a Bite which actually does a very nice amount of damage. My first Thunderbolt manages to paralyze though, as I get hit with another Bite, and then the second one takes it down. The next Pokemon is Execute, and as I get paralyzed by Sunspore, then miss an Ice Punch and get Leech Seeded, I eventually am able to hit an Ice Punch and one-shot Execute. Now the last Pokemon is Alakazam, and I should have switched into Slowbro here, but I went into Hypno instead, but the Alakazam just wasted his turn by going for Calm Mind and Future Sight, so a Mega Kick and a Psychic takes this big boy down. Now with this rival battle out of the way, we have another battle with the Mafia boss Don Giovanni. And the best lead here for me was going to be Starmie, so I just went Psychic on Nidorino, Psychic on Nidoqueen twice, and that thing was down as well, and it managed to lower my defense with Tail Whip. Kangaskhan then came out, so I went for a Confuse Ray, but his Mega Punch still connected and did more than half of my health, so I had to switch out here. I decided to go into Slowbro and then go for the Thunder Wave, but I still got hit with another Mega Punch. I then hit a Psychic but got hit with another Mega Punch, so I have to switch again, otherwise Slowbro is going down. So I go into my last really defensive Pokemon, Jeff, who is able to hit 2 Psychics and take down Kangaskhan. Last up is Rhyhorn, and I went for another Psychic, but I got hit with a critical hit Rock Blast. Luckily, he only hit me 3 times, otherwise Hypno would have gone down here, which would not have been the worst thing ever because Hypno really isn't that useful from this point forward, but I would like to keep most of my Pokemon alive anyway. After then killing the Rhyhorn with Psychic and saving this entire company, I went to the next gym, which is Sabrina, our 5th gym leader. And this is the reason why I learned Slowbro Shadow Ball, just to take on this gym. And I think that was the best shout I could have done because we managed to one-shot Kadabra with Shadow Ball. Venomoth missed its Supersonic, that's what you get for using 55% accurate moves. My Psychic then absolutely obliterates this thing. Mr. Mime comes out and sets up a Calm Mind, but it doesn't matter since Shadow Ball is physical in this game and Mr. Mime just gets one shot. Last up is Alakazam. We take a Future Sight, the Alakazam sets up a Future Sight again, and my Shadow Ball once again one-shots, giving us our 5th gym badge. Now we have a long way to go before we can take on Koga, so I entered the Safari Zone first to capture my last Pokemon available in this run, Execute. After naming it Scrambled, I went to Koga, but of course I didn't take Execute with me because Poison and Grass really don't go together that well. But you know what is going to be able to beat this Poison typing? My Psychic typing. Since the level cap here was level 43, I went into the battle with my level 43 Kadabra and one-shot Coughing, one-shot Muck, one-shot another Coughing, and then one-shot Wheezing, all with just one Psychic. Remember when I said that the last few gym battles were easy? Well, no, this was definitely the easiest. I then learned Starmie, the best water type move available, Surf, made my way through Cinnabar Island's mansion to get the secret key and be able to fight Blaine, and there is only one Pokemon for Blaine, Starmie. His highest leveled Pokemon is a level 47 Arcanine. So I just went in with my level 47 Starmie. I didn't even bother grinding up the rest of my team because I knew Starmie was just going to be able to sweep. And that's exactly what I did. Surf the Growlithe, surf the Arcanine, surf the Ponyta, and surf the Rapidash. Every single one of them was washed away by my big tidal wave. Sheriff didn't even get dented. After getting our 7th gym badge, we said no to the most time-wasting event ever, the Sevi Islands, sorry Bill, and we immediately just went to the final gym leader, Giovanni, whose highest level Pokemon is a level 50 Rhyhorn. I know, why does he not evolve it into Rhydon? There is literally no reason to not give him a Rhydon here. Anyway, he starts off with an even weaker Rhyhorn that should already be a Rhydon, and we one-shot with Surf. We then also one-shot Duck Trio with Surf. Nidoqueen and Nidoking might be the king and queen, but they still get destroyed by tidal waves. I mean, what more is there to say than also one-shotting his last Pokemon Rhyhorn with Surf? Starmie really came in clutch in these last 2 gym battles. We also could have used Slowbro, but Slowbro is just a little bit too slow. So Starmie was perfect. Now before we take on the Pokemon League, there is one last rival battle. And before we actually take it on, I decide to evolve my Execute into an Exeggutor at level 37 so that he would also have access to Sleep Powder, which is more accurate than Hypnosis. And I also gave it the TM for Giga Drain so that he could deal with Blastoise on its own. I set myself a level cap for this battle as well, so that's going to be 53, as his first Pokemon is going to be his trusty Pidgeot, so I lead off with Jinx, which is going to one-shot with Ice Punch. Rhyhorn also gets one-shot by Ice Punch. For Growlithe, I swapped in Sheriff and went for Surf to one-shot. Then Blastoise came out, so I decided to go for the Confuse Ray before I swapped in Exeggutor, but he was able to set up a Rain Dance, which is not going to matter too much. So I go for the Giga Drain as he hits himself in its confusion, then he goes for a Bite which flinches me. Luckily the next bite doesn't flinch and I can take it out with another Giga Drain. Otherwise, Exeggutor would have been switched out. I wouldn't have let my tree die. He then swapped in his own eggs, so I swapped in Jinx as I get Stun Sport again, but the Ice Punch takes it down, since its Solar Beam barely did any damage. And since the last Pokemon is Alakazam, I just switch in Slowbro again, and one more Shadow Ball finishes this battle too. And with this exact team right here, I decided to just go into the Elite Four. I don't feel like I need Kadabra. It's just a little bit too frail and I already have very high special attackers with Mr. Mime and Jinx. But before I went into the Lorelei fight, I did learn Calm Mind to my Mr. Mime so that I could set up and then just Thunderbolt everything in my way. So that is exactly what I do. I just set up 4 Calm Minds on the first Pokemon Jugon while getting hit with a Surf and an Ice Beam, which barely did anything because of the boosts. And then I just Thunderbolt the Dugong to take it out in one shot. The Lapras as well. Cloyster is able to get a Protect off, but that doesn't mean it's going to avoid this obliteration with Thunderbolt. Even the bulky Slowbro is no match for this Thunderbolt. And last up is Jinx, which we easily one-shot as well. This means we now immediately move on to Bruno, which should be very easy since, you know, fighting versus Psychic. I knew that he was going to lead off with Onix, so I led with Starmie and a Surf easily one-shots. Hitmonchan somehow manages to hang on from a Psychic and hit me with a Rock Tomb, critical hit and lowers my speed. Luckily, he just uses a Full Restore and I can take him down with another Psychic, since this time I got a higher roll. Hitmonlee comes out next and manages to outspeed Starmie and then go for a Mega Kick but misses. So another Psychic of mine takes this thing down too. The second Onix goes down the same way as the first one with Surf, and the final Pokemon is going to be Machamp. I start off by going for a Confuse Ray and he then goes for a Scary Face, so he's now going to outspeed me. It doesn't really matter though, since he hits himself in its confusion and my Psychic connects, taking him down. This lets us move on to the next Elite Four member, Agatha, which was even easier than Bruno. I once again lead with Starmie and take down her first Pokemon Gengar with Psychic, Golbat as well. The next 2 Pokemon, Arbok and Gengar, are also no match for Psychics. And last but not least, Haunter. Yeah, you know, it just dies. Even though Ghost-type Pokemon are dead already, we just managed to kill them even more. So let's try to take on Lance, the final Elite Four member. He has a Gyarados as his leading Pokemon, so I'm going to lead off with Mr. Mime here and Thunderbolt him to kill him in one go. Next up is Aerodactyl, and I probably should have switched here, But I still went for the Thunderbolt anyway, but he managed to outspeed and hit a wing attack. My Thunderbolt doesn't take him down, and then he goes for a Hyper Beam, which I forgot this thing had. And I thought that my Mr. Mime was just going down here, but he hung on with 5 HP and took down Aerodactyl with another Thunderbolt. Next on out was Dragonite, and I knew I had to switch here, but there is really nothing on my team that can take a lot of hits from Dragonite. Normally my answer for this would be Jinx, but it's not going to survive anything this thing throws at me. So I went into Exeggutor thinking that he would go for an Outrage, but he went for Wing Attack, which did a lot more than I would have thought. So I swapped in Slowbro to try and take another Wing Attack, but he got a critical hit, doing more than half of my health. So if he would go for Outrage now, my Slowbro would probably be dead. But I stay in anyway and try to go for the Thunder Wave, but he uses Safeguard. So this is not really looking too well. I swap in Jeff and get hit with an Outrage and then go for a Mega Kick, but I get hit with a critical hit Outrage and Jeff almost dies. But all I had to do here was just wait until his Outrages made him confused. So I swapped in my last hope before Jinx, and that was Starmie. I got hit with an Outrage, the Dragonite got confused, so I swapped in Jinx, the Dragonite hit itself in its confusion, and my Ice Punch finally finished it off. The next two Pokemon are two Dragonairs, and Jinx also one-shot both of them with Ice Punches. Lance got very lucky in this fight since he got 2 critical hits, but we still managed to scrape by without any deaths. So let's move on over to the final battle of this run, against our rival Muscle. He once again leads off with Pidgeot like every single fight. So I once again lead off with Jinx like most fights. My Ice Punch is taking it down from full health as he then switches in Rhydon, which also gets one-shot by Ice Punch. For Arcanine, I swapped in Starmie, who got hit with Flamethrower as I then hit a Surf, but Arcanine manages to hang on and hit back with a Bite, bringing me below half health. And then he just starts spamming full restores, but it's already too late. I just need to hit 2 Surfs consecutively without him using a full restore, and Arcanine finally goes down. Next on out was Blastoise, so I had to switch in my Blastoise killer Exeggutor. As I swapped in, he went for a Rain Dance and hit me with a very hard-hitting Hydro Pump actually. But then my Sleep Powder came out and I just started spamming Giga Drain, which eventually took down the big turtle, but not before he used another full restore. But eventually, my big Palm Tree came out on top, as he then swapped in one of his own Psychic types, Alakazam, so I go into my Slowbro for that, and my Shadow Ball once again one-shots. And then his last Pokemon, his own Palm Tree, comes out. So I swap in Jinx, predicting the Giga Drain here. My Ice Punch just doesn't kill, but he misses his Egg Bomb, so my Jinx can come in and hit a couple more Ice Punches after he uses a full restore to win this battle. Honestly, if that Egg Bomb did hit, my Jinx would have gone down. That doesn't really matter since I could have just brought in anything else after that to kill this thing. But that is the way that we're going to be ending the hardcore Psychic type Nuzlocke in Pokemon Leaf Green. And what have we actually learned from this run? That Psychic types in Generation 3 are very overpowered. We managed to get 0 deaths on this entire run, and we only had to reset once because of a Pidgeotto Sand Attack. Now honestly, if I have to choose one MVP from this entire run, I would probably go with Starmie or Jinx, since they really carried us through some very important battles. But let me know in the comments down below who you think was the best Pokemon in this run. And while you're down there, also let me know what you want to see next. As always, I want to thank my membership and Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you do want to sign up yourself, the links are in the description. It is always very much appreciated. And with that out of the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm zwiggojr, and I'll see you guys next time.